Hello and welcome to our session on impactful features in Excel. My name is Mary Vallone. I am a Microsoft Learning Consultant. My experience is being a classroom teacher as well as an instructional coach. Currently, I am an MIE expert and an MIE trainer. So we're going to look at ways that Excel can help with your day-to-day, some impactful features that exist in Excel. We're going to be looking at how to copy data tables from a PDF document into Excel. Once you have those data tables in there, how you can use Flash Fill to help with data entry. Even if you're not importing data and you currently have data, how you can change that and use Flash Fill to help you. We're going to look at creating a drop-down menu to also help with data entry for anything that you would have to put in your Excel file that would be a list of different things that you have to choose from. And then how to create a table using, how to create a table in Excel and then use those table features to sort and filter data in Excel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at how you can copy data tables from a PDF document into Excel. So if you have a PDF that has a lot of different tables in there and you want to import data from any of those tables, you can do that using Excel. You don't have to copy and paste. We're going to do it directly from Excel. You can choose the table data you want and then import that. So let's go into Excel and take a look at how we do this. We're going to open Excel. I already have a bunch of data right here, but what I want to do is I'm going to create a new worksheet. So you can either create a new worksheet here, or you can come into Excel and do File and do Blank Workbook. So let's start there. We're going to start with a blank workbook. We're going to click on Blank Workbook, and here's our new workbook. What we're going to do now is we're going to find the PDF that contains the table data that we want to use, and we're going to import it into Excel directly from Excel here. What we're going to do is come into our File Explorer, and we have a PDF that is called Student Test Excel Training. So we're going to use the data table from this PDF and put it into, so if we open this, here's our document, here's our PDF. We want to get all of this information into Excel. So let's see how we're going to do that. We're going to minimize both of those windows, come back to our worksheet. We're going to click on any cell, it doesn't matter where you are. Then we're going to come up to our menu options and we're going to go to the data menu. From here, from the data menu, we're going to go to the far left and look at Get Data. Click on Get Data. We're going to choose From File because we want to import it from a PDF. So From File, and then we have our list of file options here. We're going to choose From PDF. We're going to click on From PDF. It's going to open up that File Explorer for us again. The one that we want is called Student Test Excel Training. So we're going to look for that in our list, and there it is, Student Test Excel Training. Let's click on that PDF, and then we're going to select Import right there. What's going to happen is a new window is going to open. If this file contained any other tables, they would be listed here, but our file only has one table. We're going to select Table 1. And when we look at that, we'll see here is the table of information that we want. Here are all the student names, and then there's all the testing data that we want. We can also take a look at what this page 1 has. When we look at page 1, that actually also has the titles, right? Student name, Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. If we look at the table 1, we just see column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So let's click on page 1, and that's the data that we want. We even want those headers right there. So what we're going to do is select page 1 and then come to the bottom, and we see we have 3 options here. We're going to select Load from here. So let's just click on Load and see what happens. As it's pulling in the data, it actually creates a new page down here. So we had sheet 1, And now we have page 001. It actually imported the name of the page. So we're going to rename this first. Let's right click on that, select rename, and let's just call this student data. Whatever you would want to call it. What we find is all of the information that we had is imported. So all of our column names, all of our student names, and all of their testing data. And all we had to do was go to data, get data, from file, from PDF, select the PDF that contained our table data, selected the table we wanted, and it all came in automatically for us. Now there's one thing happening here that we may want to change. We see that the first and last names of our students are together. And sometimes when we're looking at testing data, it'll have our student last names first and then their first names. What we can do is we can actually change this. And that's our second impactful feature. So our first impactful feature is bringing in that PDF data into Excel. Our second impactful feature that we're going to look at is we're going to look at how you can use Flash Fill to help you with this data entry. So we'll come back to our Excel document here, and we want to separate our student names. We want to have our student first names in one column and then their last names in the next column. So let's right click. So we're going to select column B, and then we're going to right click and we're going to insert. We're going to select column B again, right click, insert. And then let's change these column names. Let's click in the column 2 cell, come up to our text box at the top, and then type in first name, because we just want to change the name of that column. We'll do the same thing here in this first cell, column 1. Let's highlight column 1 and let's call this last name. There are a few ways that Flash Fill works. We want to separate the names into first name and last name. So in the first name, the first cell, we're going to click on that and we're going to type in Molly. And then we're going to click the down arrow on our keyboard and go to the next cell. We're going to just type in G here. And what we notice is Excel Flash fills that for us. It's assuming that what we want to do is write all the first names. So let's click on that last cell in the column. And now we have all the first names here. And we see the Flash Fill icon appears. Let's go ahead and accept those suggestions. Let's do the same thing with the last name. Let's type in Dempsey here. And then let's click the down arrow again and type in V for Vargas. The same thing happens. Let's click on the last name, Banksy, get that Flash Fill icon, and accept suggestions. So that's all we had to do. We just had to type in the first names that we saw, and then it flash filled in when we started to type the first letter of the next name in the list. And all we had to do was do that flash fill. And imagine if you had a page full of student data or student names, how helpful that would be. The other thing that Flash Fill can do is you can use this data and you can do quick analysis with it. Let's come back to our PowerPoint and we'll see we can quickly calculate with auto sum. We don't have to do formulas anymore. We can use Flash Fill to help us with that as well. So if we open up our Excel document again, and what I want to do is I want to get the average of these Unit 1 test grades. So I'm just going to click out of here and then click this first box and pull down. And when I do that, you'll see that icon appears again, and this is the quick analysis. When we click on that, it gives us several different options. You can change the formatting of this data if you want to, and you can hover over, it'll show you the different ones, but we want to go into totals here. We're going to select totals, and we're going to do average. And so it automatically puts the formula in there. If we click on this cell, we'll see there is our formula right there. We're going to do the same thing for the Unit 2 test. We're going to highlight it, Flash Fill, go to totals, and go to average. And let's do the same thing with our Unit 3 test. Flash fill, totals, average. And there we go. So now we can take this data and we can manipulate it the way that we want to. We can put formulas in there automatically using that quick analysis. And we can do all of those different things. I love how flash fill just helps you, especially, I don't know about you, but I used to go into Excel documents and I would copy. I would write all the first names first, write all the last names next. And so this is a way to quickly get that data in there. And then that quick analysis helps with, instead of having to figure out what formula you need, just use that quick analysis and choose the one that you want there. So that is how you can import from a PDF. And then once you've imported, how you can do different things to make the data fit what you need. So the next thing we're going to look at is we want to add, so each of these different students are from different grade periods. Some of them are from the same class period, others are from other class periods. The next thing that we want to look at that's an impactful feature in Excel is we want to look at how to create a drop-down menu. So we have 4 different class periods and the students are dispersed through those 4 different class periods. And instead of going in, especially if we had maybe 50 names on there, instead of typing in the different class period those 50 times, it would be super helpful to have a drop-down menu. So we're going to look at how to create a drop-down menu to make that data entry much easier. So let's come back here and we're going to highlight our D column this time. We're going to right click and we're going to insert. And we're going to call this column 1 is going to be changed to class. All right, that's what we want to do. We want to name that class period. And let's name it that. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to just type in classes. And maybe we have an A period and a B period, a C period. And let's just, well, right there. What we want to do is select where we want our drop-down box to go. We want our drop-down to be here. And in order to create that, we need to create what's called data validation. So we're going to go highlight our class period here. We're going to go back into that data menu. And then we're going to come here to data tools and select data validation. What we want to do is we want to do data validation with a list. So we're going to make sure this settings menu is open. Come where it says allow, select the down arrow and choose list right there. Let's do that one more time. We're going to highlight our class period area where we want our list to be, or our drop-down boxes to be. We're going to come to our data menu here. We're going to click on data validation, go under the settings menu, go to allow, click list, and then we want to give it a source. Where is our source? We're going to click on source, click the up arrow there, and we're going to select all of this because these are the different ones. You can even put this in a different sheet, and I'll show you how to do that next. So this is where we actually don't want the word classes, we just want this right here. So we just want it to be A24 through A27. We're going to click our down arrow there, and we're going to click OK. So now when we come here, Molly is in our D period class. Garrett is in our A period class. And now we have that really handy drop-down menu that we created, which is really nice. So this is super neat, especially if you have several different options. And so that's how you do this data validation, is this way. Let's go back to D period there, and let's do C period. So you can either put your drop-down list here, but again, if you have a really long list of names, this might not be something that you can do. So let's take this. And let's just copy this. We're going to do a Control C so we can copy it. We're going to leave that there, remember, because that's our data validation area. In sheet 1, we're going to come into sheet 1. So maybe you just create a new sheet and you drop your information there. We're going to do that. Control V, drop our list there in our separate sheet. We can even rename this, and we can name this classes right there. And I'll show you how you can do that again. So let's say your list is in this other tab. We're going to select class period here, go into data, data validation, make sure list is suggested right there. We're going to go change our source, right? So we're going to come here to our source text box, click that up arrow. Well, now we want to select this sheet here. You'll notice it puts the sheet name in front, and we're going to highlight the options, select the down arrow, click OK. And so now we're going to be pulling this. It's going to show us the same kind of stuff. We can pull this, but it's going to be coming from a different location. Our data is coming from this sheet. So if you do need to create a separate sheet because you have so much information here, you can do that. You can just create it on it. It doesn't matter where you create it. It just matters that in this data validation, you have the correct list that you want to pull from. All right, so that is how you can create a drop-down menu in Excel. You just create your list of options, select the column where that drop-down menu should be, and then you can create several, right? So maybe we want to have another one, and maybe you want to have something like, are they remote or are they face-to-face students? So let's do that. Let's just do a right click on E. Let's do insert, and then we can do remote, or that's what we want to do, right? And so we just want to give those two options. We just make a quick list like this. We can select our area, go to data, data validation. We want to do a list here, and we want to do our source. And our source is right here. And we want to do OK. So now we're going to come here and we're going to do, this is a remote student. This is a hybrid, right? So you can do anything you need to create that draw. It doesn't have to be a long list. It can be super short like this, hybrid or remote. It can contain whatever information you think is necessary. So, and there you go. So that is how you create those drop-down lists. Our last feature that we're going to look at is called sorting and filtering data in an Excel spreadsheet. The thing about being able to sort and filter data in a spreadsheet is it needs to be formatted as a table. So before you can use the sort and filter, you need to make sure that your data is, instead of just a standard spreadsheet, you need to make sure that it's in table format. So let's look at how to do that first. So we're going to come here. This is just a random data that we have just on expenses. And this is just sort of a play expense report for the year. So here we have all this information, and it's just, we can't sort it, right? There's no sort and filter little down arrows for us. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that this is in a table format first. So I like to come in and highlight all of my information. So I come in here and I just highlight all the information that I want to be able to sort and filter. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to highlight all of it. Then I'm going to go to the home menu, and in the home menu, you're going to see this option called Format as Table. So I'm just clicking around. We're going to go to Format as Table. We can choose whatever color we want. Let's use orange. And see, it does the same thing, like where is the data? So eventually you should be highlighting your information. So I like to highlight it first so it's already ready. So I highlighted that information, My table does have headers. I do have this header row, date, buyer, type, and amount. So I do want to make sure that this is selected so all of that is not included in what I'm going to be filtering. So I'm going to select my table has headers and click OK. And now look what happens. What we have here is we have these filter options. So we can filter by date. So let's deselect, select all. We want to see all of our expenses in March. This is great if you have a club and you have all of your expenses for that club, or if you have all of the expenses for a department, or however you have your expenses. You can do it by month, by semester, by however you tend to put your information in there. We're going to do ours by month right here. And then now we're going to do it by person. So this could be by, if you have a club, it can be by event, or it can be by person. It can be by whatever filtering information you have. And we're going to deselect, select all, and we're going to just choose mom. Let's see how much money mom spent. We're going to click OK. And there we go. All of that information is now set to how much money did mom spend in March. And now we know. So we can just look at the data and see what mom did in March right there. But let's go back to our student. So that's how you create the table. Home, format as table, choose the format that you like, and then go ahead and create it. And now it's filtered. It's filterable. We're going to go back to our student data because that's already a table. One of the nice things is that Excel automatically, when you import from PDF, it is a table in your PDF, so Excel makes it a table. We didn't have to format this as a table. It just came to us that way. And I'm going to show you why this is really a cool feature. If you have a grade book in Excel and you want to talk to, let's say we need to talk to Garrett. We want to talk to Garrett. So we're going to come here and we can do this a few ways. Garrett is a hybrid student in A period. So we can either filter here. Maybe we just want to see how our remote students are doing. It shows us all of our remote students and it gives us the average, and their average is actually better than our whole class is doing. Let's come back here and we want to just see how our hybrid students are doing. So let's deselect all, click on hybrid, and now we can see the average for all our hybrid students. Now what we want to do is we're going to choose select all here, and we just want to talk to Garrett. So sometimes if you don't have your grade book or your data table or your data as a table, you can't really filter. So if you're going to be talking to Garrett, you can copy and paste his grades from Excel. But if you have it in a table format, you can come here to last name or first name, deselect, select all. We're going to go to Vargas. We're going to click OK, and now we can just see Garrett's grades. So when we're talking to Garrett and we're having our conversation with him, we can just have his grades showing, and we can talk to him about maybe what we're concerned about without having him see any of the other grades. All right, so those are some impactful features that exist in Excel. I hope you found some helpful things. I did include another resource for you. It is this Wakelet. It contains this video. It also contains this information. If you are a member of the Microsoft Educator Center, please do use this redeem code to redeem your points toward badging. I also have a link to the survey for this session. If you would, please take a moment to complete the survey and leave any feedback that you think would be helpful. Thank you for attending the session, and I look forward to reading the survey results.